Bronny, once he put his name inside that draft, it wasn't about basketball anymore. So you're not gonna let someone draft. This is $1 billion name right here. I can't give this name. I can't protect this name in Miami. I can't protect it in this. The only way I can protect this entity is right here.
I let you talk, dog. People don't get in trouble with LeBron James. You already said.
So
you already said.
So I'm gonna draft my son so he doesn't get in trouble. So everything you said actually means nothing because I've done it for 22 years. I've done it for 22 years
to other people.
But he's done it for 22 years. So how can you say he
couldn't prevent? So he could control the hard situation his son had.
No, I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. You can't control everything, Gil. But what I'm saying is you gotta let him grow up.
As a father, LeBron James, you got to make sure that you're protecting Bronny the right way. That's what Stephen A. Smith would have said. Gil's Arena goes off on the protection of Bronny James. Check out what they had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Like, it's understandable because, you know, yeah, you're famous, right? Your dad is famous. You've been famous since, you know, damn near you were born. And in a sense, you're watching 59 other players get grace.
Exactly.
You know, you got, you know, #1 picks who can play through mistakes. No one's worried about it. No one's mentioned them, right? You got people behind me who's not in the league. You got people in the second round who making $12 million for the 3 to 4 years, and they haven't scored any buckets. And they're in the G League, and everybody, for some reason, no one looks at them, and everyone's focusing on me.
Yeah, because not everybody has a father that's LeBron James. So, yeah, when Bronny plays good and we don't talk about it, why aren't they talking about Bronny? But when he's not playing good and we just want to criticize, you know, things here and there, how he got into the league and how he's currently playing, why is everybody worried about the 55th pick? So you can't have your cake and eat it too. People can't really talk about Bronny. They can only say good things about him, and I think that's where the main issues are coming from. Of course, no one really cares about the 59 other picks because their father is a LeBron James, just like people want to say great things about Bronny from time to time, man. So it is what it is, man.
And all my flaws, right? When I do good in this league, right? It's not the NBA.
It's not the NBA.
Right? But when I did bad down there, it was, he can't even play in the G League. Right? So it's like, he's sitting there like, the point. Right?
And on paper, he's like done everything right.
No, he hasn't.
Like, he doesn't get in trouble. He seems like he's a great kid.
Wow.
Like,
Think that matters?
it should. It should matter.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, no, it obviously doesn't matter, but it's just like the way that people, the way that people talk about him is, and they're like surprised
about positivity.
Right, but the fact that people are shocked that Bron felt the way about it, now Bronny's coming out saying that he feels the way about it. I just don't understand why, like, how people are like, well, they shouldn't feel that. Like,
at the end of the day, Bronny can be the greatest civilian ever. That's amazing. Stay out the way, don't get in trouble. But these NBA owners, they don't care about that. Can you generate us money? And then most importantly, can you play the game of basketball? Can you play against your peers on the NBA floor and compete? What can you do? Yeah, you can be great off the court. That's just one layer to it. But they want to see what your talent is, how you can help the team, and then all that extra stuff, staying out of trouble and, you know, being a good civilian. That's amazing. But it all starts off with how you can play on the court, the money, and then everything else after that. So people saying he's a great kid, he's amazing, doesn't get into any trouble. That's cool, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about his play on the court.
what?
I don't think people were shocked. Well, I do think people were shocked that LeBron actually addressed it,
yeah.
as he should. Like, as a mom, I'm going to address it if you're constantly coming for my kid. And to your point, I think people don't talk about those
Bronny.
other #1 picks, those other players who aren't doing what they're expected to do. Because it's Bronny, though, it's just elevated.
I have a question.
No, I look at the internet all
Of course
day.
he is. Come on, man.
I have a question. I was watching First Take the other day, and they were talking about Shador and Dion. The conversation that they have with Shador and Dion versus Bronny and Bron are completely different.
Of course
And I
they
don't
are.
understand why.
Well, I think Shador top 5 pick.
You don't understand why they're not talking about Shador and Dion like they're talking about LeBron and Bronny. So let's start off with Dion and LeBron, the greatest, especially at the position. LeBron, you can say he's one of the greatest ever. Dion, he's probably the best at his position ever. All right, so those two cancel each other out. So let's go to Shador and Bronny. Shador, he proved that he can be a top college player at the quarterback position, just as a whole. Bronny, he hasn't really proved anything at USC. Yeah, I know he had the health situation, but besides all that, going into college, he wasn't really up there as far as a difference maker. And then going to the NBA, you see what's going on now. He's doing good in the G League, but it hasn't transferred over to the NBA floor. So you can't compare those two situations. Completely different. Shador proved that he's a college player, and it looks like he's going to be a solid NFL player. The jury's still out on him, but still, you can't compare the two. So I don't know why she tried to throw that in the mix. I get it. You want to protect Bronny, but you got to keep it real at the same time.
I mean, yeah. But yes, he's proven himself in college, but his dad was his coach. I don't think that would make a difference, honestly. I know, but it's like, why can't you?
That is the difference.
But like, why aren't you supportive? But their logic was, this is a strong black man supporting his kid and da-da-da-da. But they're not.
People taking up for LeBron. People saying, like, LeBron came to his defense and this, that, and the third. Yes, but you have to accept you don't have to accept it, but the criticism is going to come with it.
Of course.
From the outside looking in, right?
This is what it is.
If you ask the average person walking down the street about this situation, if they just know, is Bronny good enough to play in the NBA? The masses gonna be like, the masses gonna say no, right?
So, a random
the random person just because of the
narrative.
The narrative.
About the narrative.
You ask people, can Shador Sanders play football? It's gonna be no. The answer's gonna be yes.
It ain't about just a narrative. I think people are trying to, move the goalposts when it comes to Bronny. It's obvious Shador can play the game of football amongst his peers at a high level. And as of right now, as far as the NBA court, not the G League, Bronny's nowhere to be found. He can't play at a consistent level. Plus, he's not getting consistent minutes. So that may be a different situation. But just as far as the minutes that he got, the eye test, how he's looking on the NBA floor, it looks like he's scared out there. Shador Sanders, as far as college, yeah, he knows he belongs, and he knows he's going to be a solid NFL player. Again, he still has to prove it, but you got to stop comparing these players to Bronny James, especially when it's two different situations. There's a level of talent that Bronny doesn't have yet. Can he get it? Maybe, but as of right now, Bronny James is an NBA-ready player, and it's going to be a lot of talk about him.
Because, like you said, he's put the time in, he's done this, and because Bronny got drafted,
the way he did,
and there's this notion out there that he's not good enough.
Right.
That's it's low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
For people. It's easy for people to talk about this, whether he can do 9 things positive, right, score 30 every night, but then it's just this one thing that people gonna harp on, and it's just unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
It
sucks.
It sucks in his life.
Yeah, it sucks in his life, but at the end of the day, look how he got into the league. Look at everything surrounding Bronny, the Rich Paul, Clutch Sports. If anyone other than the Lakers draft Bronny, he's not going to play. He's going to go overseas. The whole nepotism thing. Now, thinking back about it, I don't have a huge issue with it. But again, when you get thrown an alley-oop like that, eventually you got to catch and dunk it. So Bronny James right now hasn't really, got up to the NBA level. Will it happen? Maybe. He still needs time to grow, but people can still talk about his game, talk about the situation without, facing risks of being blackballed or just facing backlash from talking about Bronny. You can't mention Bronny. I think that's the huge issue. Why can't we talk about Bronny James, especially in mainstream media? Why does the subject have to be changed? Why does the narrative have to be this in order to talk about Bronny? I think that's where the huge issue is coming from.
Life right now. Right? And it's going to be his life until he decides not to play in the NBA or whatever happens. It just...
Because I feel like even if he finds success in the NBA, it's always going to be something.
They're
always going to be something.
They're proving it. They're proving it with his G League play. There was a narrative on his G League play. He's not even good enough for the G League.
He started killing.
And then he started dominating. Then they're quiet. Yeah. And then, right? So then look at his NBA numbers. Right? And that's why I said, well, if you take everybody in this draft and you do a per 36, that means if you gave everybody 36 minutes, this is where he will rank.
Maybe.
That's stupid.
If that's the case, maybe so, but why is he on the Lakers? He wasn't going to play 30 to 36 minutes on the Lakers. Wasn't going to happen. Before Luka got there, they were a team to where they needed good players on the court at all times just to have a chance to win. Now that you got Luka moving forward, I don't think Bronny's ever going to play 36 minutes. Even if he does become an NBA-ready player and can contribute, he'll be lucky to play 5 to 10 minutes per game over the next 3 years consistently. So that means he should be on a different team. But with the whole manipulation of the draft and making LeBron James' dream come true, this is where we're at with Bronny. Other teams would have been able to play him much more. Maybe he could have developed faster to be an NBA player without facing all this criticism. Playing with your dad, playing with AD, and now playing with Luka. His levels to playing in LA. Maybe this isn't a great fit for Bronny. Maybe he needs to go to a different team so he can increase his development much more faster.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't
align
fit the
with what
narrative
she's
you've been
saying.
doing. But at the end of the day, when somebody says he doesn't belong in the league, then that means you have to then consider everyone from pick what. They don't belong in the league. They gotta pick them, right? So you're saying I can't pick him because he's not ready, but I can pick him. He's
Good
not
take,
ready.
Bronny. Good
Right?
job.
You got to think about like the second round itself.
Move to go
There's
post.
only going to be about 11 kids in the second round that will be in the NBA by year 3.
Will that be Bronny? If Bronny continues what he's doing now, playing good in the G League, but not a factor on the NBA floor, and 3 years from now he's still in the NBA, what does that say? Like, how are you going to really think about that? What's going to be your argument? Is it just because he's a son of LeBron James that he's still in the league? Same with the Thanasis. The only reason why he played this long in the league is because of Giannis. So I get it, but people can't talk about it because he's protected in the media.
Right? At least 7 kids right now from the second round won't even play. 2 kids that got picked behind him that would have been in Bronny's place. So the kid, this is how you're supposed to look at it. Bronny, remove him out of the equation. The kid that's behind him goes there. He ain't even playing on the team. He got cut damn near in preseason.
Yeah, maybe
Summer
so.
league.
Good job.
Nobody looks at it like that. So he wasn't ready. The person behind him wasn't ready. The person behind him wasn't ready. So what the does it matter about him or the person in front of him or the person in front of him?
Yes.
No one cares about those other draft picks. We only care about Bronny James. Their father is a LeBron James, so you got to make sure you include that as well. Yeah, I know you're trying to move the goalposts, make Bronny look a certain way, as positive as possible, and I get it. That's your team and that's who you're rocking with. But at the end of the day, their father isn't LeBron James. We don't care about those other picks. We're going to continue to talk about Bronny James while he's in the NBA. You got to deal with it.
So
You know what I mean? So
what I said from the beginning, right? After the draft, and as we talked about it on the show moving forward, and all the hype was the Bronny's. Okay, we got the first game out of the way, right? Mm-hmm. Historical moment. Let's have that. I said there was a no-win situation in either situation either situation was a no-win for him. To play in the G League or to play in NBA games right now. There was a no-win situation for him. Because people are going to nitpick, pick. He go down to he can't win right now. So my thing was, don't put him in that situation to give people the ammunition to critique it. Right?
Yeah, but
let him play, let him practice with because you got enough guys you bring in, let him practice every day with NBA guys, let him work out with the NBA coach, let him do all that shit. And the next time we see Bronny is in Summer League. And let him play a few games, see how, and let next year be, because every other guys have done it, it was just because of injury.
Yeah, true, but you can't really compare Bronny to those other guys because the level of talent going into the NBA, the level of talent Bronny had, it was already questionable. And then for him to even be a draft pick, that's where all the issues came from. So yeah, it may have been different if they just let him earn his way into the league, but if he earned his way into the league, he wouldn't be a draft pick. And then by the Lakers maybe, hiding him after that first game, yeah, I get what Kenyon's saying. It wouldn't have been that crazy. It wouldn't have been that much of the conversation. But either way, He's right. It would have been a lose-lose situation, but I guarantee if Bronny was balling out in college, had a good first season, or maybe a second season if he stayed longer, and then entered the NBA draft and got drafted off his own merit, then we wouldn't be having this much of a conversation. People would still be, overanalyzing his game. It wouldn't have been the whole nepotism thing, how he got into the league. It would have been completely different. So that's something to think about as well.
So it's all coming full circle now, right?
Huh?
It wouldn't be this.
It wouldn't be this statement now. You know what I'm saying? Like he would never have to come out and feel this way.
Well, I think he would.
It wouldn't be on this magnitude.
It wouldn't have, but you got to think about
Not even,
If he would have got drafted,
on
just
top of it.
what NBA organization who we think highly of? Just take the San Antonio. Just
Miami
San Antonio Spurs is a highly, like we think highly of the San Antonio Spurs, right? With what they have done throughout time since they have always been looked at an upper echelon of organization. Far as class, this, that, and the third, and the way they treat their guys. Just if we put them in that, just there. And this is the message from Rich Paul, the whole crew, everybody. It ain't as been in
the
LA. You know what I'm saying?
storm here in LA.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm happy for their absolutely, but it wouldn't have been all of this. But
I think everyone's missing
it'd have been different.
the biggest
Still the
part
same.
of it, right? He's not a normal kid.
yes.
Just like Michael Jordan's son is not a normal kid. If Jay-Z kids, not normal kids.
Yeah.
Kanye West, not normal kids. Meaning there's an empire that follows the parent and is trickling down to the kids.
Yeah.
Which means Bronny, once he put his name inside that draft, it wasn't about basketball anymore. So you're not gonna let someone draft. This is $1 billion name right here. I can't give this name. I can't protect this name in Miami. I can't protect it in this. The only way I can protect this entity is
right here.
I disagree.
If something happens on the road,
I disagree with
that affects me.
I disagree.
Because
You think it could have been on edge?
They could build out an infrastructure around Bronny. They can put a publicist, a PR team around him, security. So there's ways to kind of protect them within the bubble. But at the end of the day, you got to let him spread his wings and fly. Let him grow up. Let him be a man, because he may face situations to where, damn, what do I do? Should I call Rich Paul? Should I call Clutch Sports? He has to develop those skills, those survival skills in a controlled environment, which is possible. But to be like, he had to get drafted by the Lakers, that's the only way to protect him. You're thinking about it wrong, in my opinion. You're just hurting Bronny James by, always relying on that.
they don't have the
team?
What I'm saying is, they don't have the infrastructure.
Certain teams.
No, certain teams, yes.
No.
I disagree with that, Gil.
Because here I control everything in this umbrella.
That's the
I don't
problem.
think.
Right.
I don't
so
think.
like, let this
See, that's the problem right there, right?
You want to control.
That's the problem. As a child, he needs that. He's growing up. He's going to become a man. You need to raise him and start treating him as that.
As a
And him
father.
being under this umbrella, it's not doing him any.
But
It ain't.
Obviously, it's messy.
It's f***ing with him.
Yeah.
As a father, LeBron James has to figure out how he wants to maneuver with Bronny James. What is he going to do? How is he going to allow him to grow up, be a man, while still keeping that Clutch Sports infrastructure around him? LeBron, you got to look into the mirror. You got to make sure that you're protecting Bronny the right way. That's what Stephen A. Smith would have said.
Because he's a kid, he's still trying to figure himself out in this world and who he needs to be, who he want to be, what he like, what he don't like, people he like, people he don't like. I shouldn't be have to constantly, since I've been a child, I've been forced, because of who my dad is, to this, right? I ain't saying this is his thought process, but you have to start letting, like you got to start giving line, dog, to let him grow up.
Yeah.
Because if he's not, I ain't saying he's a good kid, he's around, he got security, so you put him in the right situation. We ain't heard nothing negative about him in high school, so therefore,
he's under an umbrella.
but it's still the same umbrella.
My umbrella doesn't reach over there.
He was in high school. His dad didn't go to high school with him.
No, but his
dad didn't go sit there and class. His dad didn't go sit in class with him. His dad didn't go on the road with him.
What happened his freshman year?
Skip class.
he had the heart thing.
No.
What?
He knows high school. What happened the freshman year in high
Oh,
school?
the weed,
Yes.
yes, yeah.
I can't.
on the
that
stream,
that
right?
trickles down to my
You think that
as a
stopped?
person, huh?
You think that stopped?
But what I'm saying is,
Bronny still lighting up. He just, made sure he wasn't on live. But at the end of the day, a little tree situation compared to what a lot of people go through. It looks like Bronny James, he's on the up and up. Seems like a solid young man. So at the end of the day, yeah, it would be cool to be within the same area as Bronny, within arm's reach. But at the end of the day, man, allow that man to grow up. Allow him to, get a scratch, get a cut here and there, be able to kind of brush it off and be able to move forward. Yeah, you can still have the infrastructure around him, but you don't got to be under the same roof as him in order for him to operate as a young man. So things got to be done a little different, especially in this day and age, because even though someone's under your same roof within his arm reach, that don't mean they can't get into any BS. So I get what Gil is saying, but Kenyon's saying, look, bro, got to allow him to grow up, got to allow him to be a man.
It looked like fire.
what I'm saying is,
But did you think that stopped?
But what I'm saying is, I can't have that on somebody else's because that's
It happened.
their entity.
He happened living in your house.
But I
You
can't.
can't
have
watch
it-
him 24/7, Gil.
I can now.
No, you can't.
Do you think that
You cannot
I
watch him
can't have a Jordan.
24/7.
What I'm saying is, you think they can have a Jordan moment in the
can't-
Olympics?
you
and
can't
back in
have a
America?
20 you
They're
can't
not-
watch him
they're not-
24/7,
What I'm
Gil.
saying is,
You just
This
said
man
that.
like
I
a
can't
newborn.
have
24/7.
a
You
Jordan.
can't. 365, 24/7. You can't watch him.
Sounds horrible.
You can't. You
Bronny's
can't
a
watch
newborn
him.
baby.
You can't. Listen, you got to
Why
let him
can't
fucking
I?
grow up.
Protect
What
him
team
at
does
all
he play for?
costs.
You got to let him grow
What
up.
team does he play
Because you control the narrative.
Why?
You control the
Why
narrative.
do you want to
we-
watch him
I think it's
You're
I think it's
why he
important.
lived in your, to your point, he lived, I let you,
Listen,
he
it
lived
ain't
in
about
your
you,
point, he
Brandon.
lived in your house,
No, I just think
and he still did what he
We
did.
we don't care what you think.
When I'm on the road, yes.
He lived, but he still lived in your house.
Then what happened?
So when he goes to the G League,
So do you think
when
I'm
he goes
gonna-
to the G
so you-
League, is LeBron with him?
Do you
then?
think I'm going to let
When
it
he goes
happen
to the G
again?
League, is
Or you
LeBron
know-
with
Or
him?
you think I'm going to let it happen again?
It ain't what you're gonna let.
Right, he's a good.
Yeah, but you
It ain't what you're gonna let.
You
It
don't
is.
control that part.
They raised.
So you think LeBron let the first situation happen?
No, it happened on my.
So that my point exactly.
happened
Gil.
again?
it happened again.
Think about how much stuff happened under a parent's roof. So what you think is going to happen with Bronny from time to time? If that's the worst situation that he ever goes through, lighting up on live, well, that's a win as a parent. That's perfect. So I'm sure they raised a great young man and allow him to be a grown man eventually. Yeah, you want to make sure he knows what to do and what not to do and make sure you have a team with them. But, they can operate as a crew and they don't got to be, in the same roof on the same team. Bronny being on the same team with them, I think that's hurting his career.
You want my point
Has
exactly?
it happened again?
Yeah, my
Because
point
I can
exactly.
control it.
No, you can't.
I am.
That's your
Why-
problem.
You haven't even paid attention to LeBron James. In
That's your
22
problem.
years,
Real
while
question.
LeBron was on someone's
Who ain't
team,
paid attention?
have you seen
course.
anything negative
Yes.
on a teammate?
No, you have. Okay, cool. Well, we all know that.
I want you to
Talk
think about what I
his
just
son
said.
here.
Have-
What happened?
Have you
You
heard?
said he can watch him 24/7. Yes
I
or
let
no?
you. Yeah, I'm asking you one question. In
Yes.
22
I said
years.
no. I answered your question. I just answered your question. If you would listen,
dig.
I
That's
answered the
That's
question.
all that matters.
Stick together.
But like you just said, he
300
can watch him
teammates.
365 days a year, 24/7. He can't. If the kid gonna do something, he gonna fucking do it whether his daddy's there or not.
Real talk.
Whether his daddy is there or not, he's going to do it whatever, no matter what his dad got to do or say. So let him grow up, is what I'm saying. Eventually, you got him up, take him off the nipple in the fucking funnel, and let him grow up.
Yeah, gotta let Bronny grow up, man. I get it. The media wants to protect him. He's quote unquote a kid, but he's a young man. So allow Bronny James to grow up. Allow him to make his mistakes. Still gonna be within a controlled environment. He'll have a representative from Clutch with him at all times. So I think he'll be okay.
You can't keep fucking this. You can't. When this shit go left, he don't know how to deal with it. If some negative shit go on, let him. I ain't saying you got to let him fall off a fucking cliff, but eventually there's some bumps and scrapes along the way that will help.
But what if I could stop it?
I've been stopping
Well,
it for.
did you think
I've been
they
stopping
might
it,
have-
But I know, but like,
I've been
what if I
stopping
could
for
stop it?
22 years.
But do you think they might have?
That's what I'm saying. It's
I can stop it.
22 years, no one on the team. All the
said yes,
personalities he's ever had on
We
his
all-
team.
everybody knows
They've
that.
never got in trouble.
You want
while
to reiterate it
LeBron
again? Hey,
James-
everybody.
Because
People
I
don't get
let
in
you
trouble.
talk, dog.
People don't get in trouble with LeBron James. You already said
Okay,
it.
so
you already said it.
so why? So
You
I'm
already
going to
said
draft
it.
my son so
You
he
already
doesn't
said
get in
it.
trouble.
You
So
already
everything
said
you
it.
said,
You already
actually
said
means
it.
nothing because
That's
I've
enough.
done it
It
for
means
22
everything.
years.
That's-
I've done it for 22 years.
to other people.
So you don't think I'm going to do it to my son?
That's fine, Gil. You can do that. You're doing it. Absolutely.
I just think it's important that the fact
I wish Stephen A. Smith was a part of this conversation. Why they didn't have this conversation when he was on the show? Maybe they did. I don't know. I didn't watch the full clip, seen many clips, but this would have been a perfect opportunity to get Stephen A.'s opinion on this subject.
that, the reason why Bron wanted his son to be drafted to the Lakers, the heart thing that he had up in D.C., right? So if I'm a father and I'm playing, if I have the opportunity to control it and to be able to get my son with me every day where medical staff, his mom is around, everything, for the first couple of years, I think it is important because my son just had a heart thing. I don't want to be on the road and my son is in Dallas or San Antonio and I just get in a call, which he fell out again. I can't be there. Like the mom can't. Like we don't. It's just too.
So the same thing can happen now, Brandon?
Yeah, but
So if he goes
Unfortunately,
plays in a G
if it
League
does.
game somewhere,
right. His mother's there,
the same thing can happen, dog.
but it's still close to the mother's right there. Like the
She had to
family's
drive.
right there.
He was at USC. They live here. She still had to drive. You can't control it.
But do you think they
You can't.
may have
I hear
miscalculated
you.
the
Yes,
response
I hear you. Yes.
of all?
Yeah, of course. As a parent, that'd be great if anything were to happen like that. Hopefully it never does again. Yeah, you're within driving distance, but either way, you're not a medical personnel, so it's unfortunate. There's nothing too much you can do if that situation were to happen again, but at the end of the day, he could be in any situation, any team, any state. If he's going to get in trouble, if he's going to go through a situation, it's going to happen anyway. So just allow him to be on a different team if the opportunity presents itself. I don't think he needs to be with the Lakers only if he wants to grow. Now, if he wants to just be on that organization, play with his dad for the next few years, cool. But I think Bronny James just wants to be his own man.
You can't.
But you're saying
snowball.
you can't. But
So you can control a hard situation, Gil?
You're saying you can't.
Gil, you can't control every
But what
situation.
I'm saying is you're saying you can't.
You can't.
But he's
Control
done it for
every
22
situation.
years, so how can you say he
He
can't?
couldn't prevent, so he could control a hard situation his son had?
No, I'm saying if
That's what I'm saying. You can't control everything, Gil. The shit that's public and going on with guys, you can have control over. You can have a party. You can tell everybody to check their phones in. You can do all of that to protect your brand. Your teammates. Yes, I'm saying yes, Gil. Absolutely. He has done all of those things. Cleveland, Miami, Lakers, USA basketball, wherever else LeBron James has been, guys that's been around him, he has protected them. Absolutely, in that regard. Absolutely. But I'm pretty sure those guys have vices. They go home. Is going on in their life. He can't control that.
Yep.
He can't. He could control
do
his son's
everything.
situation, unfortunately. It happens. You control what you can't control. Yes. Absolutely. But life happens. Life goes on. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. Like Brandon said, in a couple of years, we don't know what the situation is going to be in a couple of years. So I get, yes.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
Would I want my son right now? Absolutely. But what I'm saying is you got to let him grow up. I'm not saying he's not, but situations where we come up in this NBA, it ain't easy.
No.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story. Allow Bronny James to grow up, still keep him under that Klutz umbrella, LeBron umbrella, but he can be in a different state. He can be on a different team. But again, if Bronny wants to be an NBA player, it may make sense for him to be on a different team to get a lot of minutes. Like the Wizards, I said previous videos, he can play 20 to 25 minutes on a team that's trying to tank, that's trying to lose games, but at least he'll go against NBA competition on a night-to-night basis. So it is what it is, man. But the protection of Bronny James, definitely a hot topic on Gil's Arena. And he is being protected, but he still has to grow up and become a man.